All right, in his speech last night before the nation, President Trump did talk about tariffs and acknowledged that Americans may feel some pain. Listen.
Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much.
All right, with us now is the Senate Minority Leader, Senator Chuck Schumer from New York. Senator, thank you so much for being with us. You heard the president talking about tariffs last night. What was your takeaway? What do you think will happen in the next few days or weeks?
Well, good morning, John. It's good to be on with you. Look, the number one issue that the American people want us to work on is costs, rising costs of food and of housing and of gas and of cars and of everything else. Tariffs will raise the costs. The kind of tariffs the president proposed on Canada, Mexico, China will raise the cost for the average American family by $2,000. So that is exactly the wrong prescription for what we need. It will raise the cost not just of a few things, but of things across the board, of food, of gasoline, cars. 40% of the materials in our cars are made in Canada, and cars are part of the Midwest economy that's so important. It's the economy in lots of places in the country, and those costs are going to go way up. It's going to be even hard to make cars with these tariffs on Canada. So this is an outrageous policy that hurts the American people. And you ask the American people are asking, why is he doing this? Well, I'll tell you why he's doing it. They want to give tax breaks to their billionaire buddies, and they're trying to find ways to pay for it. One way is by cutting Medicaid. That's very unpopular. Another way is calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme. That's very unpopular. And so they're looking for tariffs, but it's even worse. And so I think this is something the American people will vehemently oppose. And I think there are going to be a lot of Republican senators and congressmen, they've been grumbling under their breath, but who are going to have to come out against this plan, which is unthought out, which doesn't look at the dire consequences to raising the cost of the American people. Also, they can give tax breaks to their billionaire buddies.
One bit of breaking news on the tariff front. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is doing an interview just a few minutes ago with Bloomberg, where he seemed to back off. Yesterday, he claimed that President Trump may be willing to meet in the middle with Canada and Mexico, maybe retreating now this morning from that, saying maybe some accommodation could be reached on autos alone. But we'll have to wait and see how that develops a little bit more over the next few minutes.
But John, you know
Go
what
ahead.
this says? And it's typical of all of Trump's speech. It is so unthought out. It's sloganeering, it's partisan. In many instances, it was nasty. You know, you got more truth in Alyssa Slotkin's response in 5 minutes than you got in 100 minutes of Donald Trump's long dialogue. And so they don't think these things out. So they say one thing one day and one thing the next day. But he said he's sticking with tariffs, and that's going to be bad for the pocketbooks of American families.
You called it nasty. It was like 4 minutes into the speech when Congressman Al Green was yelling at the podium and he was escorted out. What was going through your head as you heard the congressman yelling?
Well, look, the bottom line is lots of people are frustrated, but the best way to protest what Trump is doing what we are doing and many senators and many congressmen are doing, and that is organizing against these horrible policies of calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme and then slashing people in Social Security offices.
That Congressman
So here's
Green,
what we're, John, here's what we're doing.
Would you rather that he not yell?
Here, let me just say, the best answer, in my judgment, is to organize. So I put a call together last week with our activists. I thought 300-400 people would get on the phone. 3,000 people got on the phone. And what we all decided was we're going to focus our energy on the 6 Republican Congress members from New York, because they hold the key to stopping these horrible policies. As you know, in the House, all you need 1 or 2. In the Senate, you need 3 or 4. We don't have Republican senators in New York, but in other states there are. And the best way to organize and protest is to organize. Organizing is hard, but it's effective, and that's what we're doing.
Well, let me ask a different way. Would you rather see Democrats more in line with what Senator Alyssa Slotkin was saying, or more in line with what Congressman Al Green and people holding signs in the audience were doing last night?
Look, I thought Alyssa Slotkin, I chose her because she is such one of our rising stars from the Midwest, won a race, knows how to talk to average folks, to working families, and she did a great job. And I think, again, the American people got more truth in her 5 minutes of her speech than with all the lies, with all the misconceptions, with all the things that were departing from reality. When Donald Trump says he's the greatest president after 30 days of chaos and hurting people since George Washington, give me a break.
You, of course, were one of many Democratic senators who voted to confirm Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. We just got word this morning that Jim Sciutto and others are reporting that intelligence sharing was curtailed, at least in part, with Ukraine. CIA Director John Ratcliffe seemed to suggest that it had been curtailed, maybe now won't be. What's your view of that? And B, do you regret your vote to confirm Marco Rubio as Secretary of State?
Okay, so first let me say what you brought up just portrays one of the many, many problems, huge problems with this administration. They don't even, one day they say one thing, one day they say the next thing. I don't even know if the president knows what these folks are doing. So they talk about we're going to cut off intelligence, we're not. It's a huge mistake to cut off intelligence. Huge, huge mistake. The Ukrainians need it. The collaboration between America and Ukraine has proven to be very, very effective. The one person who's happy that we might cut off intelligence to Ukraine is Vladimir Putin, this bully, this dictator who Donald Trump seems to be interested in finding friendship with, even treating Zelensky and the brave Ukrainians poorly. There again, there are a good number of Republicans who agree with us, and I hope they will join with us. It's on them to curtail the excesses, the horrible things that the Trump administration may be proposing to abandon Ukraine.
Politico and others are reporting he had a meeting last week with former Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg. Politico writes, Pete Buttigieg met with Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer last week to discuss a possible Senate bid in Michigan, according to two people familiar with the meeting and granted anonymity to describe private conversations. How was the meeting?
I'm not getting into any private meetings I've had like that.
Did a private meeting exist like that?
I'm not getting into it.
Senator Chuck Schumer from New York, thank you very much. We will interpret that laugh for ages.
John, good to be with you.